Yeah.
Shiva, just give a very quick introduction. When I say introduction, I mean I just wanted to know how much aware you are about Salesforce as a technology, and if you are have little bit idea about Salesforce CMItics, or even if you are working in some other technology, you can share about that. So just share about your technology experience.
Hello, Vinesh. I'm Ajit from Maharashtra. I'm working as a Salesforce developer from last 4 years, and now from last 6 months, I'm working on Einstein Analytics.
Oh, thank you, Ajit. Yeah,
Yeah.
Shiva, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Hi, Shiva here. I'm from Bangalore and I'm a business analyst here. So I'm working on an Encino project. So I don't have no, much experience on Salesforce, but I have experience on Encino side. Yeah, I wanted to looking forward to know what is Einstein and all about. Thank
Sorry,
you.
Shiva, you said you don't have experience in Salesforce. You are having experience in this technology.
Yeah, Salesforce little bit in the sense I was working on Encino side, not on the full-fledged Salesforce.
Okay, okay, great. Fine. So this session, let me quickly first of all share my screen. Okay. Just let me know once my screen is visible to you all.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. And my voice is also audible, right? There's no disturbance
Your
in the
voice is not so clear, Avinash.
not so clear. Okay, give me a moment then. Give me a moment. I understood. Just give me one moment. Okay, how about now? Is my voice audible completely?
Better.
Yes.
Okay, it's better, right? Fine. Okay. And you can see my screen as well, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I will just make it very interactive. Fine. So maybe I will just ask you a few questions. Fine. And we will have it both ways. It's not that I will only be delivering the lecture. I also wanted some inputs from your end. So make it a one-liner only. That's fine. You don't have to be descriptive. Okay. So that I can understand that, whatever I'm saying, if you are getting my point or not, if whatever I'm explaining is that is something is going into your head or not. Fine. So I hope that's cool with both of you, Ajit and Shiva.
Yes, Avinash.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. So first of all, like data analytics, can you give me like one or two lines what you understand by this data analytics? Ajit or Shiva? Yeah, would you like to try?
Yes.
Mhm,
From my experience, I'm working
mhm,
on the CRMA side. So we
mhm,
get the data from different systems.
mhm,
So we are and we need to show with the help of analytics. We are showing the data to the
mhm.
as per the requirement. So we need to analyze the data, how the data is coming, and what we need to show to the business.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. So as you rightly said, basically you said in terms of CM analytics since you have 6 months of experience, but data analytics as a general, okay, because there are many other data analytics tool as well. Like Salesforce CM analytics is just one of them. Okay, then we have Power BI. There are other tools, Tableau, fine. Uh, Quickly, okay. So many things are there. Okay, what is the science of analyzing raw data to make conclusion about information? Fine. It's the process of analyzing raw data to find trends and answer questions. And basically, it helps us to answer business question. Like, when you present a dashboard and everything, you get to answer a lot of business question. Okay. Now, why this is important? Okay. So would any one of you like to try? Like, why you feel this could be an important thing for any of our clients for whom we are working? Why we can play an important role as a data analyst?
I think data analytics, it helps us to predict the future trends by looking at the history data.
Yeah, what you said is completely correct, actually. So basically, what happens, we have a data analyst, and basically, as a data analyst, uh, predicting is coming at a later stage, but we are presenting to the clients like where are their pain points. Basically, where are the stuffs they are lagging behind, where are the stuffs they can improve upon, where are the stuffs they are progressing pretty well. Because at the end of the day, some CEO or anybody who is at the top management level, they want to see how the company is driving their performance, right? So that is where we as a data analyst can play a huge role to help them understand like where their business is lagging, where they are need to work upon. Okay. And the next part is the data visualization, right? So basically, why we need to visualize the data. So, for data visualization, we have this Salesforce standard report and dashboard. We have Salesforce cinematics. We have Power BI, and there are other stuffs, Tableau. So all of that presents the data in a visualized manner, isn't it? So we all know that we love movies. It helps us to give a visual representation. And when you read something, instead of that, if you watch a movie, that helps to have a better picture on your mind, isn't it? So that is about importance of data visualization. Now, just a brief introduction of Salesforce because it's a tool of Salesforce only. So definitely both of you are more or less aware. Okay. But yeah, it's a CRM software and that's the meaning of it, which it. So we can skip this. Okay. Now, why we require Salesforce CMIT is something which Ajit mentioned as well. Fine. To efficiently play around with the data and give a proper presentation of the pain points of our clients to help them understand where they need to put effort on and where they can actually do something to drive their results. Okay. So these are some of the benefits which we have. Fine. For our sales executive, sales manager, sales rep, sales operations. Okay. So in this way, it will help them. And I think for now, we can skip this part. Now, this is the way in which Salesforce CMAtics work. Okay. So first of all, I would like to tell you a few things. So, how we will create a free Salesforce Einstein Analytics sock. Okay. So in Google, you just write this one, free Salesforce CMAtics org. Okay. And you will get this trailhead link. So just open this link. Fine. And once you open this link, you have this link. Fine. You need to come to this link. So what I will do is when you open this particular link, there will be a few information which will be needed, okay, on your right side. For example, your first name, last name, okay, you can give your personal email address, your role, fine, in which country, postal code, and you can give the username, and the example is given over here should be @whatever.com, just like we have an email address, fine. So if you give your personal email address, you will receive a mail, fine, I think after some 2 minutes. And once you click into that link, you need to reset your password. Okay. Once you do that, right, you will land up in this particular page. Okay. So let me directly share this. So this is the way you can actually share on Google. So if you just search free Salesforce Analytics org, you will get this trailhead link. Just open that link. From that link, you will get this link as well. And if you open that, you just need to fill up this. Okay. And once you do it, so first of all, let me just put it in the chat window. Okay. And you can do it, after the session as well. That's completely fine. Okay. Now, once that is done, right, you will land up to this particular page, which you see right now on the screen. Okay. Here, the thing is that whether it's CMAtics org or not, how you can identify that is, so basically this 9 dots is known as the app launcher in Salesforce. So once you, as you can see, if I hover, it's also coming as app launcher. Once you click over here, right, you will get to see this Analytics Studio. Okay. If you have a free Salesforce developer org, this is something you won't be seeing because as I told you, this is a particular license which you need to perform. I mean, which needs to be purchased by the client. But once you have that free Salesforce Analytics org, you will get this Analytics Studio, which means you have already successfully created your free Salesforce Analytics org. And after that, we can play around with the data. Okay. Now, let's jump back over here. So basically it works on ETLT approach. Okay. Extract, transform, load, and again it's going to transform. Fine. And I will explain you once I show you a small demo. Okay. What is this Salesforce CMS all about? And then you will have a better idea of it. Fine. Okay. Now, the thing is that these are some opportunity records. Fine. So these are some records which you see for opportunity, that is ID, name, amount, expected revenue, close date. So this thing, what I did, I had just put it in my Excel sheet. Fine. Now, just imagine if this is the way we show to our clients, isn't it? And these are the only fields which I will be showing to my clients, right? Showing in this particular manner. And let's say if we want to show the closed opportunity where we have to put a filter on our Excel sheet, right? This is the way we can show them. But just imagine if this same thing which you should see right now without adding any extra field, okay, I am going to build a dashboard where it will have ID, name, amount, expected revenue, close date, stage name, type, lead source. And this is the one. You see the difference? So that same dashboard, which you can also view on an Excel in a textual format, is something which gives a visual representation when we deal it with Salesforce CMAtics and with other tools as well. But there are some advantages which we definitely have over here, which we'll walk through. But you get the point, right? How different kind of visual charts are built and how it can help the client to identify where, if they want to see, their top customers, their top mid reps, or, what are the top stages they are in, where they are getting the maximum revenue. Get this point? And this is the closed opportunity. Like if I just put the filter right at the top, I will also get to see what are the opportunities which got closed and how that has performed. Okay. So what happens is when you go to Analytics Studio. So firstly, I just wanted to ask all of you who are here. So Ajit, Shiva and Raj, like, do you have idea about, I think Ajit might be having because he's a developer. What about Shiva and Raj? Like, do you have idea about how this Salesforce we stored the database and all those things? Okay, fine, fine. So what happens is in our Salesforce, let's say if I open a few records, for example, let's say if I open opportunity. So these are some standard objects. And what happens is basically we store some information. For example, if I open the opportunities, right? If I open any one of the records, I'm sorry, I opened the wrong one. Yeah. So basically we get to store some details over here. Fine. Just like you store some details in your Excel sheet, isn't it? The name, the type, the lead source, stage. So these are some of the fields which we have. Okay. Now there are different ways in which it's defined. For example, if I have this particular opportunity, right, I can put some numbers over here. For example, amount is numbers. Okay. Then for close date, we have this calendar kind of a thing. Then, we are having certain pick list. So there are many records which we get to see. Okay. And this is what this whole Salesforce is all about. It's nothing but, it's a particular database which helps you to store the data instead of, writing those on Excel sheet. For example, in my Excel sheet, okay, if I manually write all these things, the ID, the name of each customers or opportunity, the amount, expected revenue, either instead of doing it this way, what Salesforce provided, it basically gives you the field at one go. So the column which you right, all these are column name which was there in my Excel sheet, and you just have to put the value. So this is a pick list value where you can just put the values, and wherever you need to put the text, you just put the text over there. Okay, so this is how we actually store data. So it's more like a database where we store data, and it helps us to fill up a form kind of a thing which we do, like uh, when we fill up any kind of rail or air tickets or competitive exam. It's just that kind of a form. And once you fill up that form, it gets stored in the backend as a particular data. Okay. So that's what this Salesforce is all about. Cool. Now, here we have something called as the data export, where you will get to see how many records you have in your backend. For example, if I write such kind of query, this is known as the SOQL query, which means Salesforce Object Query Language, which helps us to retrieve how many records are there in the backend. Okay. For example, if I just write this thing and if I click on export, currently there are 781 records which I have in my backend. Okay. So these are the total number of records and the name type created, and I can also query for many more fields. For example, if I query for amount, I will get to see the amount details as well. Fine. So instead of opening one by one from here, from the UI, this is known as the front end, the UI, I can also check in the back end via this data export, and I will be able to see the number of records and all which are there and what are their values are now. Okay. So is this part a bit clear to you, Shiva and Raj?
Yes.
Okay. Just stop me wherever you feel you're not able to understand. Okay. Now, and also I may not, okay. If possible, you can just unmute and speak as well, because I may not be able to see the chat window since I'm on the present mode. Fine. Okay. Now moving ahead, this is your Analytics Studio. Okay. And this is particular your data manager basically. Fine. So you can just go to this manage data flow. So as we were talking about extract, transform, and load. So basically, first of all, it extracts the data. Fine. So if you go to this connect tab, fine. So here I have this particular opportunity. Okay. Now this particular opportunity, if I want to bring those records which are already present, 781, I need to run the sync over here. Okay. So there's a particular sync, and for now, just let's consider full sync. Okay. And we will kind of know this better once you join our course. But yeah, for now, what does this basically, it helps in extracting. So if you remember, we were talking about this ETL approach, right? And this ETL approach is followed not only in Salesforce Semantics, it is followed in any particular analytics tool. Fine. So of course, since we are learning about Salesforce Semantics, I will explain the concept of ETLT via this one. So first of all, what happens is we are extracting the data that happens through data sync and connect. And this is your data sync and connect, which I showed you right now. Okay. So here through this thing, we are actually retrieving all the records and we are storing in a particular database as well over here, which contains all the records. Now, the next part comes is the transform. If you want to transform any kind of data, if you want to play around with the data, we can easily do that. And then comes the load part. Okay. So what happens over here is once you, let's say, come to the data flow and recipe, this is the place where the transformation happens. Okay. So right now, this number of records which I see, to bring
Avnish,
those records, what I have to do is I have to take the help of data. Yeah. Yeah.
your voice is breaking in
Go ahead.
between. Your voice is breaking in
Okay.
between.
Okay. How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Acha, acha. Now it's clear, right? Okay.
yes.
Okay. Cool. So what I was saying is basically we need the help of data layer to transform the data. So what I will do is I'll create a recipe. This is the data layer where I will just show. Okay. So this is my complete recipe layer. Okay. So once I click on this add input data, fine. For now, we will just consider the Salesforce objects. These are some different things which we will discuss later when you join the course. But I'm just pulling the Salesforce object as of now. The objects which are present in my local Salesforce semantics doc, and I will select the opportunity. So the extract part is already done via the database when I ran the sync. Now I will be transforming the data. Okay. So here, let's say if I select a few fields, for example, we have a few common fields in opportunity, that is ID, name, stage name, okay, amount, and I can go for closed date. I can go for type, fine. And I think for now, maybe lead source as well. And I think that's enough as of now. And once I click on next, right, this particular node has been created. Okay. Now, what I do is basically to get into the next part of loading it, there's a particular node which we have to use under recipe, which is known as the output node. Okay. So under output, I'm just going to write it to a data, and through that data set, I'm going to see how the, so we will understand this in details, but for now, let's say I give it as SV take. Something like this. Okay, you can give any name, but just to make it relevant, I'm just giving this name. And as a best practice, we always need to put a proper node name as well. Okay, but that's fine. And what I will do is I will just click on this save and run. Okay, so I will just give the same recipe name. That's completely fine. And I will click on save. Cool. Now this transform part is also done. We extracted the data by running the sync, and we actually came to the data layer to get that particular input node, and we are just presenting the output node. So the transformation part is done once I click on save and run. And now on the monitor screen, we will just check. Then comes the next part of it, which is the loading part. Okay, which you see over here, where you will get to see the data. Fine. So as you can see, this ran successfully. Now, what I'm going to do next is I will search with the particular data set name. So there are quite a lot of data set which I have. Fine. So basically, under the browse section, I can just, so I get to see that over here, SVTech 2024 op. So this is the data set which I just now created, okay, with the help of the data layer recipe. And once I click over here, right, you see the total number of records which you get to see is 781. And that is something which is matching as well over here, right? We are getting 781 records as well. So there are 781 records which I have in my Salesforce internal log, and all those records I have pulled it over here also. Okay. Now, definitely if you want to see something, let's say you want to see the opportunity type, or let's say if you want to see the opportunity stage. So in this way, we can further classify and check. For example, for existing business, the closed lost, existing business closed lost, there are 21 number of records. For the existing business closed one, there are 68 number of records. In this way, we get to classify and check the way we want to check the data. And this is count of rows. And if you want to see the sum of amount, okay, that part also you can see. For example, if you want to check like for the closed lost, how many total number of, I mean, what is the sum of amount which we have for closed lost? These are the different values of stage which we have, right? So as you know, these are the different values of, so for in each stage, what were the, like in for each record, I'm sorry, for each record, what is the stage in which they are in? Fine. So let's say whichever records are in closed lost, what is the total amount which we have? So the total number of records which we have, and out of those, whichever are having closed lost, what is the sum of their amount? So all this aggregation we can easily do via this data set, which is the loading part. So this got loaded over here, as you can see. Okay. And we can cross check as well to this SQL query if we want to, fine, by putting the appropriate SQL statement. Okay. So this comes the loading part. And if you have seen here, I have mentioned one more term of transformation again. Now, why I mentioned this term? Because you can further transform over here by putting some filters. Let's say if you want to put some filters on the data layer, let's say you want to see only the closed, closed and closed one, that is the closed opportunities. Okay. So this part you can easily do over here. So that's why I mentioned that term as transform once again, because transform is something which you can do further again in the data layer side. Okay. That's why it works on ETL. Usually any data analyst works on ETL approach, but this we can say works further on ETLT approach. Okay. That's the thing. Now this is about the data set. Now with the help of data set, we can build some dashboard. So this helps the client to see, visualize it on a data set level. But at the end of the day, if you want to build some beautiful dashboard, what we do is we usually go to this create. Okay. And we usually go to this dashboard. Now let's say if I want to create a blank dashboard, okay. So on the very left, these are different kind of widgets which we have, okay, in our Salesforce CMAtics dashboard. So let's say if I just want to build one particular dashboard, and what I can do is I can just go for this text. I can go for this text, and let's say I just write over here something like you can play around over here, that's fine. And after that, for example, let's say I want to put certain filters. Okay. So for now, let's say I put some, I think 3 filters will be enough as of now. Okay. So 4, and let's just occupy this 4 parts. And what I can do is maybe I can just get some filter over here. For example, in the first part, I will take that particular data set which I created just now, that is SV Tech 2024 or fine. And let's say I put a filter, something called as opportunity type. Okay. And let me click on create. And finally, I put up one filter over here, which is something like, let's say stage. Okay. And let's say for over here, I put one particular filter, which is, let's say, lead source. Okay. So now that what I'm going to do is probably here, let's say I present a particular chart. For example, let's say I go for count of rows and I go for stage. Okay. And let me click on done. Fine. This part is done. And similarly, let's say I build one more chart where let's say I go for sum of amount and I go for, let's say, name. I think that's fine. Or instead of name, let's go for lead source. Okay. And you can play around with the chart types. Like we have a lot of options over here. Okay. So let's say I go for column chart over here. Okay. Let me click on done. So in this way, we can build some beautiful dashboard. And as you can see, I built a very simple dashboard. Fine. And if I want to check like which are the opportunities which are having, let's say closed, which are closed opportunities. Okay. So if I select this two, these are closed opportunities, closed one and closed lost. Okay. Now if I click on apply, you see these charts are getting faceted. For example, that means for my closed lost and closed won, I have the advertisement. Okay. And the sum of amount which I see is 49 million. Okay. And I see 152 records for closed lost and 425 records for closed won. Fine. This is the way which will help me to filter out. Fine. Again, if I return to the initial view and let's say I want to see what are the records which are having, let's say the lead sources advertisement. Okay. So now I get to see this was anyhow lead source, that's why it's showing me advertisement. So for closed one, I have 47 such records whose lead source is advertisement. So it's basically helps me to understand what is the source or what is the medium via which I'm getting the maximum lead. Okay. And helping them to get into that opportunity record. Fine. So as you can see, this helps the upper management team to completely analyze. Fine, I have just taken a very simple example, but you can understand the context in which it's going to help it, right? And we can just play around and further deal with it. For example, as you see, like I can build n number of charts, right? So let's say here again, I take one more chart and let's say I go for count of maybe opportunity type. Okay. Now this is a way where I have 3 kind of charts. Now we can further play around and we can actually make it much more appealing to the clients also if we want. Okay. For example, if you must have seen, like when I was showing you this records, right? Here, if you see, let me provide in full screen maybe. At the bottom, you see I'm getting one toggle kind of a thing where if the client selects top 10, top 20, and top 30, they will get to see the exact number of records which are there. Okay, similarly for top 2, top 5, top 10. Okay, so how that part is done, which comes on a little bit under the advanced dashboard kind of a thing, but let me just give you one demo of it as well. So that comes under something called as the concept of binding. For example, I have built so many charts, but let's say there's a requirement where I need to have one particular chart, and via that chart only, okay, I want to drive based on the selection which I make. Okay, for example, let's say I go for a new page right now, and let me name it as bindings, for example. Okay, we can create close to 20 number of pages. So the scenario which I wanted to show is, for example, here, let's say I build one chart and I've named it as stage. Okay, I'm clicking on done. The next part is I will just create one query, a custom query, where I will add certain text. For example, let's say I write it as stage. Fine. Then I write it as something like type. And then I write something like, so this is the text which will appear to the user, to the client who will be seeing that. Okay. Under add columns, let's say if I go for text and just let me write the API name of it. So in Salesforce, whatever text you see, we have that as well. So here we have to just write the API name of it. Okay. And let's say write something like lead source over here. Okay. And as a best practice, we always get some custom query name. So write it as something like custom one as of now. Fine. So firstly, I have to be careful of the API name which I'm giving. So for stage, it's stage name. For type, it is type. For lead source, it's lead source. And I think those are the names which I have mentioned as well over here. Yeah, stage name, type, and lead source. That's completely fine. And next, if you see, I will just bring one toggle. So toggle helps us to navigate from one to another. Fine. So we have this function called toggle. So if I bring the toggle over here, right, this custom query which I created, if I just put it over here, so here I have to make a selection required. So under query, we have certain things called as single selection, multiple, or single selection required. What single selection required means is, like if I go to preview, right, a user has to select something. For example, if you see, I have to select stage, then I have to select type, then I have to select lead. So I cannot select everything at once. You got my point? So that is something which I made. Now what you see in this particular chart, right, which you see here, if you see, only the stages are coming into picture. And when I click on type, I'm still able to see the stage. But let's say the client is saying that, hey, instead of having so many charts which I have built, which you have built over here, right? I want one single chart, and based on this selection which I make over here, which will also act like more kind of a filter, right? I want this chart to get changed. Now, how we can do that? So that part is something what we do is, first of all, just wanted to tell you, like once you click on this particular chart, there's a query mode, and this particular query mode is nothing but it's known as Salesforce, SQL. Okay, so there's this concept of SQL, which is nothing but Salesforce Analytics Query Language. So whatever things you are doing in the UI, right, in the front, like you are selecting, let's say stage, or let's say you are selecting opportunity type. Okay, now whatever things which is working as a code, that is something which you see in the backend. The code which is working for this particular UI which you see over there, that is known as Salesforce Analytics Query Language. Okay, and sometimes we may need to make some changes, but yeah, for now, we don't need to make any change. So this is the Salesforce Analytics Query Language, SQL. For bindings, what we do is usually we give some extra space, okay, just to ensure that, it gets in advanced SQL format. Otherwise, there's some difficulty which we face in putting the bindings. So once I click on this update, sorry, give me a moment. At first, I have to run the query, okay. Whenever you make any changes, anyways, I updated, so it ran the query as well, which is fine. Now the next part is basically, if you go to this advanced editor, right? So under this advanced editor, if we select any query interaction, so this is the custom query. Static means the custom query which I create. Now, what is the meaning of that? If you must have seen, there are three kind of lens which you're having. This lens one, lens two, lens three is nothing but this lens which I build over it, the charts. Okay. Then the next part comes is lens four, which is this chart as well. But custom query means that I have manually created certain text over here, right? I have manually written something over here. This is known as custom query. The query which is created by you as a developer. Okay. What happens is, if I go to this advanced editor, Okay, we need to select that query. For example, if we select custom, right? And if I select the column, okay, column, and if I select the text, and whenever user selects something, we usually go for selection as an interaction type. And definitely once you join our course, I will explain all this stuffs in very details, but I just wanted to show you how, what kind of activities which we do for our clients and what kind of projects you need to do. I wanted to give you a gist of it. So just let me build that part as of now. And whenever you go for column, we usually go for as object over here. So once that is done, right, there's a interaction which gets created. Okay. Now the thing is that let me first copy it and see. After copying, let's say, let me cancel this. See, at the end of the day, what you want this stage to get changed, right? So if you select type, you want to see type over here. If you want to select lead, you want to see lead over here instead of stage, right? So basically you have to get that binding into this stage, so that whenever a user selects stage, he should see stage, which is being shown over here. But when he or she selects type, the type value should come over here. So what I'm going to do is here, if I go to advanced editor and if I go to query, okay, I will search for that stage name, right? So you can see there are 5 of them, and I think 5 of them are here only. Just let me check. Okay, there's another one over here. Fine. So we have 5 of them, and what I will do is I will just replace this everywhere. Okay, so we have this replace. So instead of stage name, I will just give this particular bindings which I have. Okay, and once I do that, so I will just click on replace all. Fine. So basically instead of stage name, I replace it with the binding. And now if I click on save, right, and if I click on preview, okay, so there's a column map which we are having. So we just need to remove that. Just give me a moment. What I can do is I can provide here as well. So let me search with stage name one more time if there are certain stage name here as well. Okay, I see a stage name here. So let me just put that part as here. Just give me a moment. It's telling me to delete that part. So let me go to advanced editor. Maybe what I can do is I can just delete this as of now. So
You check to remove that square bracket.
sorry,
Can you where you have passed bindings, you can remove that square bracket. Sometimes it gives issue.
which square bracket you're talking about?
You have replaced last stage name.
Mm-hmm.
Just only one stage name. Like you have like in dimension, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Last time you replaced, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Those square bracket you can remove and you can put directly that binding. Maybe it work. Yes, that square bracket you can remove after the dimension axis and check if okay, not working, I guess.
Yeah. Let me do one thing. Let me first save this dashboard. Sometimes some issue occurs over here as well. Let me refresh this. Okay. Yeah, it's working actually. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for that part. So basically, as you can see, when I'm clicking on stage, right, I'm able to see all the values for stage over here. Okay. And when I click on type, I'm able to see all the type values over here. Fine. And similarly, when I click on lead source, I'm able to see all the values of lead source over here. So what I'm doing for the client, okay. So yeah, this fourth part is something which is fine. Okay. Like here, the client can easily filter out and check how the charts are getting driven. But sometimes you also have some kind of complex requirement in this way. Okay. Where a particular chart, they want to see how it's being driven based upon the selection which they do. Okay, so all these things, like if I click on stage, I'm able to see the number of records which I have. Similarly, if I click on type, I'm able to see for existing I have 121 records, for new business 340 records, and then similarly for lead source for employee referral I have 147 records. In this way it continues, right? So this is the way which we are going to work about. Okay, so what I walked you through is basically in Salesforce, these are the things which we have. Then from the extract part, there are many ways you can take data from many other things. For example, when you click on this connect to data, right? For example, over here, this is my local org, which means the org which contains your Salesforce CMatics license. Okay, but I actually kind of pulled records from other Salesforce developer org also. So these are some external developer, some external database via which I pulled in my different kind of records. So in this way, you can pull in records from different kind of applications as well. Like we have certain input connection, like if you click on add input, you have this Redshift connector, okay, Microsoft Dynamics. So what happens is in each of them, you need to give the requisite credentials. And once that is established by the requisite credential, we can pull in the data from any external database. And then comes this data layer part. Okay, so there are two kind of data layer parts, but currently, we deal mostly with recipes. So under recipe, what I did, I had just created one node and I created an output node for it. Now, similarly, we have different kind of nodes. For example, in the final node, if you want to see certain records of closed lost, so you can always filter out over here. So these are different kind of node where, help us to transform the data, like transform, filter, aggregate, okay, join. Like let's say there is a one account, one opportunity, and if you want to see the relationship properly, we go for join. And if you want to combine records from different external sources, we go for append. So these are different kind of nodes which we have and the different transformation we do on the data layer. Once that is done, we come to the dataset part and we build this kind of dashboard, which is nothing but the loading part. Okay, so this is the whole thing about it. Fine. And in the course, you will actually get to know much in details about how we pull data from different nodes, how we kind of verify the data. See, you must have seen, like whenever I created the lens and all, I verified the data. So via SQL, we verified the data because we are pulling our from our Einstein org. So that is also very important. When you are pulling data from different node, no matter how beautiful the dashboard or the visualization looks, what matters is the data also, whether the data comes correctly or not. So how we do the verification, okay, then how we utilize different kind of other functionalities which we have. So these whole things you are going to study and you are going to know about in this particular course. Okay, so yeah, this is something I wanted to talk about. And right now, maybe if you have certain questions, you can go ahead. But yeah, maybe I can also complete this slide. So we already have this Salesforce standard reports and dashboard. Okay. Now, why we need to come to Salesforce CMatics Analytics? Like as I told you, one of the reasons is, we can pull data from different kind of sources, and there are many restrictions which we have, which this particular slide provides, for which, we need the Salesforce CMatics. And these are some of the benefits which I have actually showed you right in the UI. And these are the different kind of layers we deal with. I showed you the data layer, that is the recipe part. The design layer is nothing but your data set and dashboard. Okay. And what are the different kind of, okay, this is interesting. We deals with only 3 types of data. Fine. So one is dimension. Like if I open that particular data set once again. So one is dimension, where if you whenever you see this measuring tape, right, these are dimension which are basically nothing but your numbers. Okay. For example, we have this amount. So if you want to do sum of amount, average of amount, maximum of amount, minimum. So for those things, you need dimension to perform mathematical calculation like this. Okay. Sum, average, maximum. So once we do that, and then comes a dimension, which is nothing but it could be a combination of text number, but usually it's a text. Okay. So for example, if I want to see what are so whenever it's dimension, right, you see this word art symbol. Okay, so that is nothing but your dimension, where it's a textual thing and you get to see that. Then we have something called as date as well. Okay, so for example, if I come over here and if I mention the close date, it shows me like what kind of group I want in that date, whether I want to see year, month. Okay, let's say if I want to see year, month, it actually shows me like how many like for this particular close date, what is the sum of amount which I have. Okay, so this is a complete close date, and you get to select an option like how you want to, whether you want to year, quarter, find quarter, week, all these things you can easily see it over here. Let's say if I want to go for year Monday, I can see that as well. Okay, so that won't give me much result, but yeah, this is the way we can check with the date part. So 3 kinds of data types we deal with usually over here. Okay, in Salesforce Analytics. Fine. Then of course, these are the different components I showed you. I showed you the sync layer. Then, app is nothing but the folder. Basically, all these data sets which we are building, right? Data sets or dashboard. You must have seen in the CM Analytics when I go to Analytics Studio, we have this browse section, and under browse section, we have this app. So app is nothing but a folder kind of a thing. By default, we always have this my private app and shared app, and all the other apps which you see, I have actually built it, or a few were already built because of the trailhead part. But these are some of the folders where in each folder we get to see what are the different kind of data sets. And for example, when I open this app, these are all the items which I have. If I want to see what are the different kind of dashboard, these are the dashboard I have stored in my private app. Okay, so that is nothing but a folder. Then I have shown you what is the data recipe, data flow, and the data set. These are some of the components which you deal with. I showed you the CMS dashboard as well. Lens is nothing but once you do the visualization, okay, in your data set. For example, here I did this visualization, which is nothing but a data set. So this kind of data set, I can save it as a lens. For example, let's say I go for sum of one and close date. Every time I don't need to open the data set and get for this close date. What I can do is if I save this as a lens, right? For example, let me write it as we take close date lens, just an example. And if I click on save, I don't have to worry. Like for example, if I refresh the, let's say if I close it, I don't have to again open a data set and again, put that query. I mean, play around in the UI. So what I can do is I can simply go to browse. If I go to private app and if I go to lens, I already have this lens set where if I just open it, it will automatically open by default that sum of amount and closed it. Okay, so these are some of the things which I already walked through the components part. Okay, and these are some of the basic terminologies. Okay, I already showed you on the screen, and this is the Salesforce journey. Just wanted to tell you, like, this Salesforce schematics which you see right now, way back it was known as Wave Analytics. So it was around 2014 when it was known as Wave Analytics, and after that it got certain rebranding. So later on it came to known as Salesforce Einstein Analytics. Now Salesforce Einstein Analytics is a very popular name actually. So whenever any recruiter actually search for the, still now they actually use this word Salesforce Einstein Analytics. Okay, and somewhere around 19 they acquired Tableau, for which they renamed as Salesforce Tableau CRM. But yeah, it's been I think 1 or 2 years since we are actually referring this as Salesforce CMAtics. But Salesforce CMAtics or Salesforce Einstein or Salesforce Tableau CRM, all are same. It's just that the rebranding got them. So I think for you can just remember as the common name, I mean the present name right now, which is Salesforce CMAtics, but you can also say it as Salesforce Einstein. Both are same. Okay, just wanted to show you that. And yeah, this is the future. Basically, like they are working on the stories, the AI ML, many Einstein function is also coming up. But why analytics, but how the Einstein is doing in the backend, that part also you can understand after learning this course if you want to move ahead on the inside parts of data. Okay, so yeah, that is all about it. Okay, and I showed you how we can build the free Salesforce Einstein. You can also build it, and whatever I showed you, maybe you can just practice. Okay, so definitely you will have a lot of confusion, I know, like why I did column, why I did selection, all these things you will get to know once you join the course. But you can just practice the exercise and you can see the magic as well. Okay, and yeah, I think more or less I'm done, and you can tell me if any kind of question you have.
Thank you, Anish. It's a great introduction. But I think for other folks, it's very fast.
I do understand. So
Yeah.
for others, actually, I know that I went a bit fast, but one thing when you join the course, because this is more like a Salesforce CMAtics demo session. So I wanted to show you what are the things which we are going to have. But don't worry, once you join the course, right, I will actually have 2 or 3 sessions, okay, completely dedicated to help you understand what is Salesforce itself. Okay, like what is account. So if I give you some brief, like accounts are usually the organization name. For example, these are some of the standard objects. So I will explain you what is standard object, what is custom object, fine. And I will explain you a bit what are the different kinds of account which we have and what exactly it means. Basically, the account means nothing but an organization name. And let's say different kind of people are working under certain organization. For example, let's say consider SVTech as an organization. Okay, so SVTech we can save as account, and under SVTech, if there are many people who are working, to them we refer as contact. And similarly, opposite, I will explain you a bit on the standard objects, and then I will also explain you about SOQL a bit, like how we fetch the data to understand what are the number of records which we have so that we can verify nice analytics. Okay, and then I will actually come to the Salesforce semantics part, but I explained a little bit more on the Salesforce semantics so that you can understand what is the main thing you will be taking care of, what is the main thing you're going to learn on this course. Okay, so even if you have a little or no idea, don't worry. Before starting this session, I will give you some clarity for sure on the Salesforce part as well, at least what you need to understand so that you can completely work. Then we have certain relations, like as I was telling you, like one account can have many contacts. For example, as a to do account is nothing but an organization. Let's say if I create one account which is like SV Tech, let me just simply this as SV Tech organization. Okay, fine. So I created this SV Tech organization. Now what happens under SV Tech, there will be very number of employees who are working under SV Tech. Okay, so for now, let's say I take my name. Okay, and let's say I'm working under SV Tech. So under I select SV Tech organization and let me click on save and new. Okay, so let's say I name Kishore also working under SV Tech. Okay, Kishore is an employee. So under Kishore, I will give the account as SV Tech and again click on save and new. Fine. And let's say similarly, if I say Ajit is also working under SV Tech. Okay, so under SV Tech, if I name it and let me click on save. Now, as you can see, if I open this particular account, SV Tech, right? So under SV Tech, once we go to this, okay. So under SV Tech, what is happening? We are having different kind of contacts. I created 3 contacts for you, right? So example, if you see, or let me do one thing under SV Tech, if I just go for this.
Scroll down. This is the analytics studio. This related tab you are searching, right?
I'm searching for record. I mean contacts.
Related
Yeah,
tab, right? Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
In
So
details. Yeah.
yes, yes. As you can see here, now what does this mean? Actually, one account is having 3 contacts, as you can see, right? So that means under SV Tech, 3 people are working: Ajit, Avinash, and Kishore. Okay, these are the 3 people. That means one account can have 3 contacts or multiple contacts. He can have 3, 4, 5. Now this is known as one to many relationship. Okay, try to understand. One account can have many contacts. That's why under one account you see 3 contacts. But once I click on something like, let's say if I click on my name Avinash, I can only work under one organization. Okay, so for this contact, okay, if I go to these details, here I can only put one organization. I cannot put multiple organization. Okay, now that is known as one-to-one relationship, which means one contact can only have one account. Okay, so this kind of relationship, one to many, one to one, I will explain you for the first 3 sessions. Okay, and after that we will come to the analytics part, because see, Salesforce itself, if you consider the admin part, it itself is a different kind of a topic. Development is different, but I will just help you to understand from Salesforce semantics point of view what are the basic things you need to know, so that once we go ahead, you won't find any confusion. Okay, so yeah, uh, that's what I wanted to tell you. And let me know if you have anything else. That's fine. I think Shiva left, which is fine. But yeah, Ajit, Raj, if you have further question, Ajit, you are already aware of a bit on Salesforce development. If you have any question, you can ask. And yeah, Raj, if you also want to get some clarification, like uh, whatever you want to know, or what you kind of have certain things to know about the course content, you can ask me. I will answer it.
I don't have any question, Avinash.
Okay, Ajit. Yeah, Raj, you have anything from your end? Duration of, okay,
Okay,
yeah,
he has
duration.
mic issue, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, that's fine. He mentioned duration, of course. So Raj, you can ping on the chat. That's also fine. If you have mic issue, I will answer it. So yeah, duration of course, this course will be about I would say 35 to 40 hours. Okay, so consider it as a minimum of 35 hours. So usually it takes 35 hours, but as I'll be taking 1 hour each day, you can finish this course within 1 month, I would say, if we take 1.5 hours. But yeah, total is somewhere around 35 to 40 hours. Okay, any other things you want to ask, Raj or Ajit? Raj, you can type in the chat window, not an issue. Yeah, it will be on weekdays, okay? But if possible, if you, let's say for some reason, if I'm not able to take the course on weekdays, or let's say if you are missing certain classes, because till now, I have trained a few batches and this kind of things happens a lot, that sometimes times they are busy with their work. Sometimes they couldn't do on weekdays, or let's say they went somewhere, or let's say I for some reason have not been able, then at that time we can have 1 or 2 session on weekends if required. Otherwise, yeah, it will be mostly on weekdays. So if you have certain pressure on you, like you want to complete by hook or crook within 1 month, then definitely I will then at that time take certain classes on weekends if we miss it on weekdays. But otherwise, I'm quite sure if we take on weekdays, it will get over within 1 month if we take around 1 to 1.5 hours. Yeah, you can type in the chat if you have further question, Raj. Okay, fine. And you also don't have any further question, right, Ajit?
Yes, no questions.
Okay. Yeah, that's it about it. I wanted to show you what are the things you will get to experience once you join this course, what are the things you're going to learn, and give you a gist at whatever I could have in this 1 hour session. And yeah, thank you everyone then. Bye.
Thank you, Anish.